Happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we've got more big stuff coming from the big guy. This is Newsmax's Greg Kelly on "This Tape Exposed Will Blow the Lid Off of Team Biden." I'm very excited to see the juicy details that Greg has to uncover for us. We're going straight into it, guys. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let's do it, y'all.
The big guy has a big mouth, and it got him into a lot of trouble, but he hasn't seen the half of it yet. There is an audio tape, I am told, by people in the know, not necessarily in government, not necessarily out of government. I can't say too much, but there is incontrovertible evidence of Joe Biden's corruption that is about to be made public. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen before Labor Day, but it will happen sometime between Labor Day and Halloween. This tape will be made public. I'm not sure by what entity at this point, but once it is heard, Joe Biden will have, well, he'll have only two options. Number one, he will not be able to remain a candidate for the presidency for re-election. It will be over and done with. The only thing that he might be able to do, potentially, but probably not, is remain as president. I am told this tape
Probably not
is that incriminating, and they're worried about it right now at the White House. They know about it. They know it's out there. There may be more than one, and it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I mean, let's pretend for a moment that this congressman from New York, Goldman is his name, let's pretend for a moment that he's right about whatever it is he heard. Listen.
So to confirm, you're saying that the speakerphone conversations, they don't seem concerning to you because there was no specifics about business, and it just seemed like
it was clear that it was part of the daily conversations that Hunter Biden had with his father, and it was and sounded like most of the time now President Biden didn't even know who the people he was at dinner. He was just asked to say hello. And he would, talk about the way he described it several times. They asked over and over and over. He described what the weather was, what's going on your end. The witness was very, very consistent that none of those conversations ever had to do with any business dealings or transactions. They were purely what he called casual conversations.
All right, let's accept that. Let's accept that for a moment. That's according to Devon Archer and Hunter. And, well, the thing is, Joe Biden would make phone calls not only to Devon Archer and Hunter, right? He would make phone calls to other people. He would have meetings with other people. And Joe became a big shot all the way back in the 1970s. I don't think he realizes that now everybody in the world, everybody, has a tape recorder in their pocket. Back in the 70s, when he became a big shot, that was like, oh boy, you had to go to Radio Shack and get tape, and you had to be like this radio geek to figure that stuff out, or the FBI. Life's changed. And the people he was doing business with, I believe, in Eastern Europe, they love recording stuff. Every time they go get milk, they actually have a dash cam. Did you know this over in Europe? Like using a dash cam is like everybody, 99% of the people record everything they do in a car and everything they do in business. Poroshenko, the then president of Ukraine, Joe was asking for something that Poroshenko thinks is out of line. Can you tell which side of the phone call this is recorded? Who's actually recording the call? Take a guess.
Yesterday, I met with the General Prosecutor Shokin.
Yes.
And despite of the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges, we don't have any information about he doing something wrong, I especially asked him, no, it was the day before yesterday, I especially asked him to resign.
Great.
And this is my second step for keeping my promises.
I agree.
All right, you can tell Joe is on the phone, and that guy is actually in the room. Poroshenko is in the room where the tape recorder is. Poroshenko is taping it as evidence, as something to hold over Joe Biden, as proof. And there have to be more tapes. There just have to be. And I am told there is one, and it's going to blow the lid off the Biden administration and probably bring it down forever. And if that's the case, it kind of makes sense. If you knew you were about to be fired or demoted or, kicked out of something, would you really break a sweat at whatever it is you're doing? You know what I mean?
It's true.
When Joe went to the beach, this was a signal to me that he gave up, that he knows his time is up, that it's coming, the walls are closing in, as they used to like to say about Donald Trump. Going to the beach, going for a bike ride, blowing off basic questions, say about Hawaii. He can't be bothered. It's all about himself now. It's all about survival and planning his life after the presidency and trying to protect himself as much as possible. The country, we are not on Joe Biden's.
This all makes sense, though. I mean, Joe is playing this like he's already put his 2 weeks notice in. He knows the job it's coming to an end. He's just, making do with what's going to happen. And honestly, it sounds like he's being blackmailed. If Poroshenko was recording that call and aired that out, which was where Joe had the I think it was the prosecutor that was investigating the board of Burisma, or that he thought was investigating the board of Burisma, fired for no reason. He's like, I'm going to fire him for. I told him I was firing him for no reason. He's done no wrong. He's done nothing wrong at all. But I asked him to resign day before yesterday. And he's holding this over Joe's head. That's why he recorded that. I believe that they have way more recordings and they're still blackmailing Joe. So Joe is just trying to make a full-on exit plan, exit strategy at this point. He is not worried about the United States or the American people. He's worried about getting himself out of the presidency, all right. Out of jail, honestly.
Much as possible, the country, we are not on Joe Biden's mind. We are not. And if this pans out the way I think it is, it shows once again that Donald Trump was right.
I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
You're the big man?
It is terrible. And he was right. And watch how the media covered up for him, even in the heat of that moment.
Respond, and then we're going to have follow-up
questions. If this stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
Right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race.
Oh my goodness, look how guilty. Look, I'm gonna pop this clip back one more time. Look at just Joe's face. So see, he looks so guilty. Look at that. I'm caught. Oh my gosh, no way. This dude Trump has some, his team is A1 because they did some deep digging to know that Joe was getting, honestly, Joe's kind of sloppy with his work anyways though. So it probably wasn't deep digging. They found out which countries Joe was in connection with. They found out that Joe was even the big man. Oh my gosh. Honestly, the countries probably just told Trump flat out like, hey, yeah, we're doing business with Joe, by the way. And the media was so good at covering it up that the American people still voted Joe. Oh my goodness. What?
Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
Right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race.
How about that, huh? Wants to stay on the issue of race, the phony issue that they manufacture, that they designed to blow up the country.
Separation,
right? And then the media, of course, spun. Everything Donald Trump said has been essentially proven by the House Oversight Committee. And what did they accuse him of back then?
Last night, Trump made clear his closing argument is just lies, lies, and more lies, flooding the zone with a deluge of outright false claims.
He covers up all those deficits by attacking Hunter Biden and trying to dirty up Biden.
He maligned Joe Biden's son tonight, invoked unverified allegations against him, doubled down on this narrative about Hunter Biden, which conservatives have been pushing for years.
This time, he was just a slow-moving manufacturer of lie after lie after lie after lie.
So they actually talked about, they said this out loud. Maybe we have to come up with a procedure to cut the microphones every time Donald Trump utters something that's not true. They actually thought about doing that and implemented a system where they could turn off the mics if they didn't like what Trump was saying. Anyway,
Freedom
fast forward 3 years. And the media, oh yeah, he was right all along. Yeah, on some little watched Sunday show, CNN admitted it.
Kessler wrote, Hunter Biden reported nearly $2.4 million in income in 2017 and $2.2 million in income in 2018, most of which came from Chinese or Ukrainian interests. But this directly goes against what Joe Biden said in the debate in 2020 with Donald Trump. I mean, Trump was right. I mean, he did make a fortune from China, and Joe Biden was wrong.
Yeah, they're all like, yeah. Is that front page news? Is that, no, they still insist, vast portions of CNN, the White House, that's fake news. No, it's established. It was admitted by Hunter Biden's own lawyers that they got money from China. Trump was right. So how do we avoid a situation like Joe Biden again, right? A career politician, not much going on in the brain department, full of ambition, but no ability. How do we avoid that? Well, I have to go to the fake news for a second because they actually had an interesting idea. Now, the title of this story, Elections Are Bad for Democracy, it got everybody upset and everybody was running around like, how could they say such a thing? And it does seem like a totally outlandish and silly title, but it was an eye catcher. And I read the story. And what they're saying is, what this guy is saying, maybe we should do what the ancient Greeks did. Now, the ancient Greeks, they invented democracy. You got to remember that, okay? These are the experts. What did they have? They had basically a system where they would pick random people from the city to be in charge of the city, kind of like a modern day jury pool. You show up for jury duty. You've ever done that? I did it once. They wouldn't let me on the jury. They didn't like my answers, but it was kind of a fun process. And if I got on the jury, I would have done my best. But it's random. They take basically random people and they figure out who's going to sit on the jury. If they pass a test, they pass the truth test. Maybe we could do the same thing as a democracy. It's not as crazy as it sounds. Let me go through it. When you're anointed by the group, it can quickly go to your head. I'm the chosen one. The group being the electorate, the chosen one being whoever we voted for. Next, please. When you know you're picked at random, you don't experience enough power to be corrupted by it. And that's where Joe Biden went terribly, terribly wrong a very long time ago. Joe Biden was the chosen one. 1974, he's like 30, 31 years old. Look at how cocky he is. He really thinks he's special.
As the youngest member of the Senate, the one, therefore, who may expect the longest career there, I wonder if you'd say to us, since it's clear that you're not corrupt and you got elected, why should people think that the system produces corrupt results when there you are?
Well, I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but thank you for that, though.
The arrogance of that statement, don't assume I'm not corrupt. That would be a very false assumption. 29 years old, he gets elected. He gets lucky in a state that's the size of, well, there are counties all over the country bigger than Delaware. So he thinks he's special. That's number one. Check this out.
The fortunate thing is I didn't have many larger contributors, and the only reason, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talked about it.
You know, if we picked leaders like we do for a jury, you wouldn't have to prostitute yourself. And we would never get a guy who's proud of prostituting himself to get elected, to be something rather than do something. I mean, this is somebody who is mentally unwell. In the prime of his life, he stood there and lied like crazy.
what law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly? I think we.
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do. I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the international moot court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden survives solely based on he lived in the time. He lived and thrived in the era before Google. If there was Google search and people could look up this information and fact check him on the fly, he would have never survived for as long as he has, man. Oh my goodness. 10 lies in like, what, a minute? Oh my goodness.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Way too cocky.
He just lied like crazy, and he's got a smile on his face, boasting about how big his IQ is. This is somebody who's been corrupted by power. This is somebody who thinks he's special because he got a few thousand people to vote for him, that he must be better than everybody else. He has a superiority complex. If we chose our leaders at random, well, what did William F. Buckley say? William F. Buckley, famous for saying something to the effect of, our government would be better run by the first 535 names, same number of members in Congress and the Senate, in the phone book than if we actually go with the people who go to the trouble to get elected. Random people would do a better job. Now, this is not happening anytime soon. It's probably never going to happen. You'd have to revamp the Constitution, so it's not an overnight thing. But I'm kind of intrigued. And what could be more democratic? Back to that New York Times piece. There is nothing more democratic than offering each and every citizen an equal opportunity to lead. I mean, look at Joe on that beach. It's hard to imagine doing much worse than this. I'll be right back.
There you have it. Greg Kelly on this tape. Exposed will blow the lid off the Biden team. I'm excited to see. They said, what, September 5th? It could be dropping September 5th through October 31st. So we got some time. We got some time on our hands to wait and kind of speculate. I feel like the longer we sit and wait for this tape, I feel like they should just release it. Because the longer we sit and wait, the Biden campaign, not the Biden campaign, but the Biden cabinet, they already know about the tapes. They probably, have a thought or a couple thoughts in their head to what the tapes could be, so they're already prepping themselves for how they're going to spin the narrative and getting the media on board right now. So I feel like the sooner we drop it, or we need to stop announcing that we're going to drop it, we just need to drop the tape so that they're not, they're prepared every single time to spin the narrative in coordination with the media so that it just doesn't seem factual to the public. We're not getting enough heads on or enough eyes on the, the actual information to, believe it to be true. Excited to see what it has to say, man. Honestly, if this tape does drop and Biden has to drop out of the 2024 campaign or election trail, I'm excited to see if they, the DNC moves Kamala Harris up to be the front runner for the Democratic National Committee. That'd be exciting to see how they dress her up for the public. I mean, obviously she wouldn't win, but I'd be excited to see if they could dress her up to be a candidate. I still can't get over the look that Biden had on his face when Trump exposed him on the grand stage during the 2020 debates. It was just, oh my goodness. He was caught dead in his tracks. And then the media to spin it the next day and say that Trump was telling a bunch of rapid fire lies. I mean, the way he did deliver the truth, it was just so many facts pushed out in one, and it was so many crazy facts pushed out in one sitting, one session, that everyone couldn't digest it to be true. But it turns out that everything he was saying was true. Oh my gosh. I'm excited to see what this tape's content will be once it drops. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're on a road to the truth. Hop along for the journey. I'll catch you guys on the next one. We go.